great thing Megan should be here, so she'll be right on time.
All right.
Good.
All right,
Mary
just
Kate's here.
Mary Kate's here. She's first up.
Yes, sir.
And Feinstein and Beckett.
She's coming later. If there's any
Okay.
kind of movement, like, I'll let
Okay.
you know.
All right. But you're good to go. Good morning, everyone. Let's get started. Good morning. Let me welcome you all back to day two of one of the greatest U.S. Conference of Mayors winter meetings that we've had in recent times. Let me also again recognize our great Vice President, Mayor of Mesa, Arizona, Scott Smith. Why don't we give him a big, big round of applause. And as far as I know, Mayor Kevin Johnson is still fighting to keep the Sacramento Kings in Sacramento. Before we hear from our first speaker, let me extend an invitation to all of you to come back to the city of brotherly love and sisterly affection, my little hometown, the city of Philadelphia. It's been a year since we launched the USCM Technology and Innovation Task Force, and San Francisco Mayor Ed Lee has been a fantastic chair leading this task force and having it focused on cutting-edge issues. Can we thank Mayor Lee once more time for his great, great leadership. In collaboration with this task force, the Conference of Mayors, the City of Philadelphia, and Temple University will be hosting the 2013 Mayors Innovation Summit in Philadelphia on May 22nd through the 24th. And I want to invite all of you, of course, to come. It's an amazing opportunity to have an in-depth discussion on how each of our cities are innovating, using social media, embracing open government, and open data. And this is really a great, great chance for us to learn from each other. And so I hope all of you can attend. We'll be getting information out. I want to thank Tom Cochran again and the great staff at USCM for all of their help and support. That will be a terrific meeting. And now, for the last 12 years, DuPont has had a platinum partnership with the Conference of Mayors called Cities United for Science Progress, or CUSP, CUSP. The partnership brings science innovation into our cities and science education into our schools. I'd like to now introduce my good friend and a good friend of the conference, DuPont's Public Affairs Manager, Mary Kate Campbell, to give us an update on what CUSP will be focusing on this year. Mary Kate?
Good morning, and thank you, Mayor Nutter. It's always a pleasure to be here with our nation's mayors. For the past 12 years, DuPont has invested some $5 million and many additional resources to assist mayors in making cities safer, smarter, and healthier. From grants to make our cities lead safe, to science education, to state-of-the-art turnout gear to protect first responders, we've been proud to partner with you for the betterment of our cities. I'd like to briefly talk about where we've been and where we're going and encourage you to take advantage of our programs. Over the past 12 years, our Science in the School Day program has reached some 40,000 students in 200 cities and 450 schools, showing them what it's like to be an engineer for the day. This brings together the brightest engineers at DuPont and your city's school children to engage them in hands-on engineering activities. During the past year, we visited cities such as Philadelphia, West Hollywood, California, Henderson, Nevada, Carrollton, Texas, Doral, Florida. And in November, we joined with Alexandria Mayor William Ewell to bring Science in the School Day to all 13 schools in his school district. The success of this program is evident on the faces of these excited young students as they understand what they can do when they think about science and engineering. The DuPont engineer who volunteered in one of the Alexandria schools got 80 letters thanking him for coming. I honestly think it made his year. And this program not only helps DuPont become a stronger company by fostering the next generation of engineers and scientists, but we hope it will in some way help close the skills gap that is so critical to American competitiveness. Please let us know if you're interested in bringing this program to your city. We would love to come. This year, in addition to reaching out to students, we're also reaching out to science teachers. By providing professional development for middle and high school teachers, we hope to improve science education by exposing them to the most recent developments and ultimately reach more students through this Train the Trainers method. DuPont will send science teachers to national programs that will help them find new and inventive ways to explore math and science with their students. We'll sponsor 20 teachers to attend the National Science Teachers Association Conference in San Antonio, Texas in April. This is considered the premier event for science educators to experience the widest variety of professional development and networking opportunities with fellow professionals. Over 3 days, teachers will hear from world-renowned scientists and educators and take advantage of leading-edge information to take back to their classrooms, their colleagues, and their students. One of the things that people think about when they think of DuPont is NASCAR. And when you think about it, you won't be surprised that there's a lot of science behind motorsports. This year, we're going to send 20 teachers to raceways across the country to attend a 2-day program called Driving Science. This is a professional development institute sponsored by DuPont Motorsports, Daytona International Speedway, and Clemson University, where, during a race week, teams of teachers work together to strengthen content knowledge in science, technology, engineering, and math, STEM disciplines, and they take them back to their classrooms. Last year, we sent 4 teachers to Dover International Speedway. Those teachers were from Philadelphia, and they were thrilled with the experience and what they were able to learn and achieve together. Equally important, those teachers then become members of a virtual STEM network where they can continue to work with their colleagues across the country so the learning continues and our kids reap the benefits. We remain committed to helping you protect your law enforcement, firefighters, and first responders. Turnout gear and bullet-resistant vests made with DuPont Kevlar and Nomex provide state-of-the-art protection to help those who bravely put their lives at risk for others. Through our partnership, we will continue to donate gear through our Wear Trials program across the country. Last year, we provided gear to Philadelphia, Baltimore, and Toledo. This year has started with donations to New Orleans and Mesa, and we look forward to working with other cities throughout the year. If you're interested in any of our programs or want to learn more about them, please get in touch with us at the address that you see behind me on the screen. I think you see it behind the screen, you do. Or just get in touch with us at some point during the meeting. And we look forward to working with you. Thanks for having me, and enjoy the meeting.
Mary Kate, thank you very, very much. DuPont is doing great things all across the country, and we had some time together, I guess, a couple months ago, 2 different occasions in the same day, to see children in schools very, very excited about science and what science can do, and DuPont has been a great friend, not just to Philadelphia, but to the U.S. Conference. I'm now pleased to welcome back our friend, former colleague. He will tell you himself that while he enjoys being a United States Senator, and that's a fairly rare air and exclusive club, there are only 100 of them in the United States of America, but he'll tell you himself that the best job he ever had was being, of course, the mayor of Anchorage, Alaska. The former mayor has not missed one of our meetings, not one, since being elected to the United States Senate. As chair of the Democratic Steering and Outreach Committee, Senator Begich is our official liaison to the Senate leadership, and he fights for our priorities. Every meeting that I've ever been in with the senator, with his colleagues, they virtually complain that he drives a mayor's agenda, a city's agenda, in the Senate. They give him a little bit of ribbing. I'm not sure how much they're actually joking. I think they're actually tired of hearing Senator Begich talk about cities and their importance, but he keeps up the fight. In November, he hosted a special caucus meeting for our leadership where we engaged with many of the Senate members talking about the priorities related to the fiscal cliff and job creation. We're certainly going to need Senator Begich's continued help as we fight for more direct infrastructure investments and to protect many of our top priorities like CDBG and tax-exempt bonds. Please welcome back our colleague, the United States Senator from Alaska, but who will always be the Mayor of Anchorage, Mayor Mark Begich.
Thank you very much. Thank you all very much. I have to say, Mayor Nutter, you're absolutely right. I have to gauge how much they're joking, but every meeting we have that there is a mayor in presence, they harass me because every time they bring up an issue, I don't care if it's how they're going to fund a program or a program that works, I remind them that it's mayors that deliver the services every day, deal with the crises of the moment, balance their budgets, understand a lot of issues. And so when we have these mayor meetings, my colleagues are quickly commenting that, yeah, we know about mayors. We hear about it every day, and they're going to hear about it on and on and on. And I know we're going to have another colleague, Senator Kaine, who's a former mayor, so we're going to try to bring him into the what I call the Senate Mayor Club, so people understand what you all are doing on the ground. And I can't say enough about the mayors that come to the Senate, that educate my colleagues on the needs of every city in this country, no matter if it's rural or urban, but all the issues that are facing us. So first, thank you to the conference for this ongoing relationship that is critical for the United States Senate, because in this world here in Washington, you know, I come from one of the farthest places coming to D.C., and it's another world here. You know, you cross over the bridge and everything changes. It's another world, and so it's critical that you all, when you're here, and I know you're here in force this weekend and this week, and I hope that you spend the time to continue to educate members of the Senate and the House, but also the new members that are coming on board about the importance of mayors and what you're doing on the ground, because when you get here, the world shrinks rapidly, and it is critical that you are there to keep making sure we're reminded there's something beyond the Beltway here. And so I thank you for doing that. Thank you for doing it as a group, but thank you as individuals that come to the offices and remind us of those critical needs, and I really appreciate it. And there's no better group that proves how you can make things happen. I have sat in these rooms when I was a mayor, when we had hot issues to deal with, and it didn't matter if you were a Democrat or a Republican, you actually sat down, you figured out what the priorities are, then you put your agenda together, and then you moved forward. That is a sample and example that we need not only more of in our state houses, but also clearly here in Washington. So thank you for leading the charge and the example that we need. You know, we have a lot of issues, and you've heard some of them. I know yesterday, you'll hear more today, and you'll continue to hear the big issues. May they be immigration or violence in our communities or education reform or energy priorities or climate change. You name the big issues that we have to deal with here in Congress. The challenge is we can't get there until we deal with these bigger issues of the budget. You know, as mayors, I remember this when I was mayor, and I came in 2003 when I was mayor, and I came into mid-year. I had about a $215 million budget, a pretty small budget at that point, but a $33 million hole in the budget. And mayors understand what that means. That's not a good picture. They say, welcome, you're elected, have a good day, good luck. And then all those executives that were there left, you know, and you're kind of handed a package. But we took what I call in Alaska, and only Alaska kind of understands this because we buy more duct tape per capita than any place in the country. We call it the duct tape approach, but everyone knows what this means. If you put a little duct tape on your arm and you have a choice, you can pull it off slowly or get it over with. And as mayors, we kind of have the choice. And I remember we decided to do the duct tape approach, do it quick, get it over with, take the pain. Deal with revenue issues, deal with budget cuts, and don't forget to invest. By doing that, you can then move on to the bigger issues of how to move your city forward. And in our case, we're still doing the duct tape very slow and painful. And in the next 90 to 120 days, we have some tough decisions to make. We started, as you know, in dealing with this some of the fiscal cliff with the revenue issues at the end of the year. And we have some big issues in front of us still on the spending cuts, the automatic cuts. When I say sequester, people look at me back home and they go, "Whoa, I don't know what that is." And then I say, "Oh, it's automatic budget cuts." Ah, I get what that is. That's kind of a Washington, D.C. kind of thing. We say the word because we hope that no one will know what it is. And they look at you and they nod in acknowledgement, and then they walk away and they go, "I don't know what he said, but I think he's okay with that." So it's automatic budget cuts. That's what it is. And we cannot forget to invest. But these issues we deal with the next 90 to 120 days are going to be critical. How we deal with it. Are we going to try to take a bigger piece of this puzzle off the table so we can get on with the bigger issues of immigration and education reform, energy, climate change, violence in our communities? How do we move to these bigger issues? You know, where we were, and I remember 4 years ago after I got elected, we were here, not a lot of happy faces because our economy was crashing. Cities had already felt it, understood it much better, to be very frank with you, than people here in Washington, because you had already had to deal with it. But where we were and where we are two different things. Today, I try not to. It's a painful thing to turn on, you know, the news and then look at the business section and say, okay, I'm not going to look at the stock market because that's not how you judge the economy, but everyone does. And today, well over 13,500. 4 years ago, we were sitting around 6,500. Unemployment, almost double digits in some cases, many communities double digits. We're now below 8%. Yesterday's report on housing starts, a 5-year high. Matter of fact, if you listen to a report last night, in some of these metropolitan areas where housing starts are now increasing, they can't get enough trades to do the jobs they need. Another huge gap, but obviously today having that news is better than where we were 4 years ago. But as I said, we have to deal with something in the next 90 to 120 days. We're on the right path. The economy's moving in the right direction. Slow, but better. But we have to deal with budget cuts, tax reform, and we better make sure we do the right kind of investments in education, infrastructure, and energy in this country for long-term reasons. As I mentioned, we went over the cliff a little bit. We have a $16 trillion debt hanging over our head. And I have this chart I usually use when I'm back home because somehow people think this debt occurred yesterday, that somehow it just magically appeared. Well, no, this debt occurred over 40 years of not focused on the budget. Pure and simple. Doesn't matter if you're a Democrat, Republican, current president, past president, it all accumulated, bills come due. Now we have to deal with it. And it's going to be a tough call to deal with this issue. But when I look at this, to me, it is possible. Cities do it every single day. You have done it the last 4 years and balanced your budgets in the worst times possible. You had less revenue, tax rolls went down, sales tax rolls went down, property assessments went down, services still were needed. You still needed to deliver those services, but you were able to do it. It may have been tough. And to be frank with you, some of my colleagues, friends I knew when I was mayor, didn't succeed in their next election because they had to make tough calls, and the public was not really forgiving for that. But you are here today because of a stronger elements you have done. Now we have to do the medicine. And that means we're going to have tough decisions that will ripple down. But the critical piece is, and I thank the mayor for mentioning it, we have to make sure when we make these decisions, they are smart budget cuts and reductions and how we manage them. You know, when you look at the Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, when you think about the dollars we spend and the ripple effect that it has in local communities is amazing. But I guarantee you what's going to happen, and we've seen it year in and year out, in good times. People come in the Senate and the House and say, well, that's just, why do we need that program? It's clear why we need it. You prove it every day. It's the most efficient program in delivering of services and leveraging money out there than ever before. So your advocacy on what I would consider as we deal with this budget, these smart cuts, energy block grants, again, another leveraging factor that works. And there's going to be a common theme here, and mayors have heard this when I presented in front of other senators. When you deliver money on the local level, the odds are you'll get a bigger bang out of it. There's no question about it. So delivering it at the local level, may they be through CDBG grants, energy block grants, or transportation, again, an issue that we passed, and I will be one of those to acknowledge that we should have passed a 6-year deal. This 2-year limp is not a good approach. We need a long-term deal on the transportation plan because, again, you all, when you decide how to spend transportation money, you don't do it in 1-year increments. When you're building a road or a bridge or trying to figure out new infrastructure for mass transit, it's a multi-year plan that requires revenue streams to be programmed in. So we have to be back at this. We're going to be back at it. We're going to be working with your folks here in the leadership, as well as many of you, to make sure we get a long-term transportation plan. The tax-exempt municipal bonds, you know, this is one of those that I know dearly, because when I was, as I described that 2003 crash, we had to invest to balance against those reductions we had to make and make sure we had a good long-term plan of infrastructure investment. Tax-exempt financing is critical for local communities. And so your voice, I guarantee you, is going to have to be loud and frequent on this issue. Because what happens, and what I've noticed in the last 4 years in Washington, if they don't know much about the program or they don't personally deal with it, then their view is, cut it. It must not be used. I mean, that is truly, I'm amazed when I hear some of the programs they want to whack away at, and then the ones they want to keep. And I say, well, actually, that one has, and you show the leveraging, the multifaceted approach to it, and suddenly they go, well, maybe we don't hear enough from people. So this one will be critical for you all to extend out a, as I call it, a welcoming review to my colleagues and how that program works and the value of it. Let me end, because I don't want to take up too much of your time, because I know what it's like sitting out in that audience. You have a lot of speakers, a lot of anxious attitudes out there that you want to talk to some of your colleagues about what some of the neat programs that you're working on, some of the other things you're doing. So let me just end on this point, and that is, you know, as the mayor said, Mayor Nutter said, you know, the best job in the world is being a mayor. There's no question about it, because you get to see all the issues, you get to deal with them. Now, I will tell you, at times I wondered when I got that 2 a.m. call from that person that said, my power's out, don't you run that utility, why aren't you doing something about that? Or the guy who comes to my door after the city council meeting, and this was a true story, knocked on my door, midnight, and says, here's my water bill. And I said, well, what do you mean? He says, well, you've added fluoride, I don't like fluoride, I'm not paying for it, and oh, by the way, here's my bill. I paused, I said, hang on a second. Because as you know, most local government folks, it's not always full-time job. You have other things that you're doing. So I had apartments, so I quickly ran to my office in my house and grabbed all my water bills for my apartments. I had 72 units, so I came out and I said to him, I said, hey, I got a deal for you. I'll swap my water bill with yours. And he was really motivated. Then he grabbed the multiple sheets of paper, looked and said, never mind. He said, and then he said, I'll write you a letter why I'm complaining more. But, you know, in reality, being a mayor, you're never out of touch with what's really happening on the ground level. And you all coming to Washington, and I know sometimes it's a lot of work because you got to convince your city councils, yes, you're going to Washington. They sometimes wonder if you're taking a junket or what you're doing. Your work is very, very valuable to remind people who come to Washington, live in this closed universe here, to remind them what's really going on. There are people who come knocking at your door at midnight. There are people who actually call you at 2 in the morning complaining about something that you may not have any relation to, but they're going to call you because you are a mayor. So thank you for doing everything you do. You can always count on our office, my office, to be open to hear about any issue. It doesn't matter if you're a mayor from Alaska or a mayor from Florida or wherever it might be. The door is open because we want to represent what's important, and first and foremost, what's important to you all as mayors, because you understand what the heck's going on in this country every day. Thank you very much.
Please give it up for our representative in the U.S. Senate, Senator Mark Beggs. Thank you so very much, Mark. I looked at our good friend, Las Vegas Mayor Carolyn Goodman, with that big smile, because between Carolyn and that guy she hangs out with, Oscar, I mean, to call her up to the podium, you just never exactly know really what's going to happen next. So for my own self-preservation and the future of my career, I'm going to call Carolyn up, and I'm going to immediately jump in my seat. Seriously, ladies and gentlemen, Mayor Goodman will host our annual meeting in June 21st through the 24th. It will be a fantastic meeting. Without further ado, the great mayor of Las Vegas, Mayor Goodman.
That nice introduction. Morning, everybody. Wow, isn't this great? And aren't I the luckiest mayor in the entire universe? I have these lovely ladies that accompany me everywhere. I got my nieces to join in. Oscar gave them to me. So, Meta and Holly, we can't wait for you to come to Las Vegas. I have to introduce to you my colleague mayors from Henderson and DeHaven over there, who welcome you to Henderson if you can find it, and Sherry Buck from North Las Vegas, just down the road. Great mayors. We have grown since 1964, since Oscar and I left the East Coast. It was less than 100,000 people there. We're well over 2.3 million living in Las Vegas waiting for you. And so what I want to tell you, it is a great place to live, but we do, while we invent ourselves and recreate ourselves, we do know how to do business. And we are so excited to have you join us June 21st to the 24th at the Mandalay Bay as our host hotel. Hope you'll be out there. We want to be part of everything you're doing. We are inviting you all to a premiere show of the Cirque du Soleil Michael Jackson show. That will be our second night. Our first evening, we're going to be on the beach. We have a beach in Las Vegas, believe it or not. And so we're going to have a wonderful event that night when you come. And let me take a peek at everything else that we have going. A taste of downtown, which is core of our city, on Fremont Street. And right nearby is the brand new City Hall, where thank you from our sustainability folks in our area. We save $400,000 a year because of all that we have done in greening our City Hall. We have a brand new Smith Center of Performing Arts, which you will get a peek at on Monday the 24th. It has really put us on the map culturally. And we know, while we're the place where GSA spent too much time playing, we know how to run a show. You will be working, but you will also play at the appropriate time. And Prince Harry, as I mentioned last year, had a grand old time. That's too much play. So we're watching you, and you leave your cell phones at the front desk, please. So we are just really excited to have you come. Our city has really been on the rebound. We've made some great strides because of what we've learned. We are very responsive to our citizens. as a nonpartisan full-time mayor, I know exactly what the senator was talking about, as do you, regardless of your party. It is about the people. It is putting your feet on the ground and making sure you are mingling with everyone that works in your community, everybody that lives in your own community, to make it the best city that it possibly can be. So please, in February, go up online in this great day of technology and book. Because if you book early, we have some special treats for you. And I know Mr. Cochran would like to have that all put in bed very quickly. So go online in February, look at the U.S. Conference of Mayors, and we welcome you. We'll be there, and you can even visit our brand new international airport. If you come in on Delta, sorry, every other airline that's out there, that international airport brings in 186 international flights every week into our city, direct flights. So come, enjoy Las Vegas, have a good time, and we will welcome you and know you'll get a lot of work done, but I know you are going to have one heck of a good time. Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Nutter. Thank you. Okay.
Let me encourage all of you to take advantage of a new USCM feature specially created for our annual meeting in Las Vegas. There will be kits made available to you, as Mayor Goodman mentioned. If you sign up early, we have developed through the wonders of technology and working with some of our other partners, we have kits available that will actually make you invisible in Las Vegas, because most of you are going to need that unless you are in the final 6 months of your term in office. We'd really like you to continue to be members of this organization. We want no casualties or collateral damage as a result of what may or may not happen in Las Vegas. And as much as people like to say that what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, I can assure you through the wonders of technology, that is not true. So do not believe that. And please, mayors, oh my God. Yeah. So, as they say, moving right along, let me call on Tom Cochran to announce a new partnership between the Conference of Mayors and Philips Lighting, a company that has worked with certainly my city, and I am very, very proud and excited about this partnership with Philips. Zia was here yesterday on a panel. Philips is the real deal, and I'm certain that the Mayor's Lighting Partnership will be beneficial to you and your city. And so with that, Tom, come on up.
Mayor Goodman also tells me that she would like to visit the Women's Caucus meeting in Las Vegas, and she will be bringing the Chippendale guys. So I know that they're just letting the women alert the press. Today, I'm very happy to announce the Mayor's Lighting Partnership. This is an agreement and a collaboration between the Conference of Mayors and Philips Lighting. In Orlando, you passed a resolution. You asked the conference to do even more in supporting you and your cities in deploying new lighting technologies. And you adopted a policy, and we're fulfilling today with this partnership with Philips. Zia Ektekar and his colleagues have been strong members of the Business Council and have been strong friends of the United States Conference of Mayors. And our work with Philips has shown their strong commitment. With the lighting partnership, we are bringing strengths of two great organizations and we give mayors a new resource for lighting, and that will help you save money, which is very important, reduce energy consumption and climate emissions, improve public safety, and beautify your cities. In a moment, I'm going to ask Zia, our good friend, Zia Ektikar, Chairman Emeritus of Philips, and also Bruce Biasata, the CEO and President of American Philips Lighting, to come forward. But before we do that, I'd like to show you a video, a 75-second video. The video, please. Thank you, Zia. Bruno?
Thank you, Tom. And thank you, Mayor Nader, for your leadership of the conference and your continued focus on energy efficiency. Senator Feinstein, distinguished mayors, it is really a great honor to be here and have an opportunity to speak with you. You know, I've been involved with your organization over the last several years, and I've really truly have come to not only admire you for what you do as chief executives of your cities, but also what you've been able to do collectively through the U.S. Conference of Mayors. As a citizen of one of your communities, you have not only my admiration, but also respect and thanks for the work that you do. You are the most down-to-earth politicians that anybody could hope for. And I, as a citizen, I really do very much appreciate that. We are very honored. Philips is honored to have expanded its relationship with the United States Conference of Mayors. It is really a distinct opportunity for us, through our collaboration, to significantly support the priorities that all of us face in our communities with regard to not only energy conservation and savings, but frankly, to paraphrase Ben Franklin, a kilowatt of energy saved is a kilowatt of energy earned. So from that perspective, this is a distinct opportunity for us to work together through a very strong public-private partnership, moving forward in achieving the goals that we all ultimately have for our country and for our communities. Mayors across the country have already seen firsthand what we have been able to do collectively to not only create significant energy savings and conservation in the terms of environmental impact, but also what we could do together to enhance the cities and also bring in identity and iconic features to the cities all throughout the country. In fact, when you are in Las Vegas, you're going to see an awful lot of Philips installations, not only throughout the commercial installation, but also public installation as well. And in fact, Cirque du Soleil has all of our lighting. So when you are enjoying that show, you're going to see some very sophisticated lighting by Philips. Potentially, though, LED technology, where Philips is really a clear-cut leader, is more than just a new tool to save energy. digital lighting and LED technology enable us to do significantly more with that technology in the terms of communication, in the terms of controls, and in terms of really being able to enhance our lifestyles as we cherish them and as we want to make sure that we continue that. In Orlando, I had the privilege of talking to you about Philips's innovation with regard to LED lighting and winning the Department of Energy's L Prize. We rose to the occasion, invented that light bulb that replaces the 60-watt incandescent lamp, and we are still the only company that had submitted and won ultimately that prize. So during this conference, I'd like to share with you another breakthrough that we have just launched. The Philips Hue LED lighting takes all the advantages of the energy efficiency of LED, but also puts together all the sophisticated controls that before were available only in major commercial installations. Through an app on your smart device or tablet, you can change the color, the intensity, and do all of the things that you would see being done in a theatrical environment, as well as take advantage of the energy saving of this technology. Now that's for your home or work. Can you imagine what we could also do with that technology in your cities and in your communities in terms of being able to manage energy usage, as well as being able to use this technology for communication, for other types of information dissemination that was not possible with the old technologies. So we have this new technology at our display table. I urge you to stop by and take a look at it. And you can see its practical usage beyond just what it is right now, which is for consumer utilization. But more importantly, I invite you during this conference to fill a form that we have available, and it is on your tables, that would enable us to come and do a free assessment, energy assessment of your cities. And based on that assessment, we can then talk about what are all the different options that we could, through our collaboration, through our Mayor's Lighting Partnership, take to a stage that can be executed in your communities. You know, the video started by talking about light is potential. Everything that we see, most of what we do, and much of how we feel is touched by light. And the potential in the front of us is maximize that unbelievably meaningful and unbelievably life-changing device to come up with doing what we want to do beyond the potentials and the way we looked at lighting before. We at Philips are very committed to work with every one of you and my colleagues, and in fact, there you are, Bruno Biasota, who is the president and CEO of Philips Lighting North America, is going to be the individual responsible to make sure we execute this partnership and work with you, and we are very much committed to do that together. So I wish you a terrific conference, and working together, I am sure of a very, very bright 2013. Thank you very much.
Again, we want to thank Philips for their support of the conference, their work with the mayors. I can attest at a very, very personal level that Zia and his entire team are very focused on these issues. You see the brochures that are out, and thank you, Zia, for also highlighting Philadelphia's Avenue of the Arts. You see what they can do on South Broad Street in Philadelphia. They can do the same in your city as well. At this time, we want to honor a leader within our conference who will be leaving office in the spring. Michael Ginn has been mayor of Redondo Beach since 2005. Throughout his years of public service, Mayor Ginn has been an active leader in many organizations in California. But today, we want to recognize him as an advisory board member of the U.S. Conference of Mayors and as a member of the Energy Standing Committee, where he has been an advocate on many issues such as energy efficiency and conservation. Mayor Ginn, you will be greatly missed. I'm going to thank you for your dedication and commitment to the U.S. Conference of Mayors. Mayor Ginn.
Oh, sure. Mayor Nutter and fellow mayors, it's an amazing honor for me to be here this morning. And one of the greatest honors of my life was the evening where the voters in my city elected me as mayor to represent them, not once but twice. But an even greater honor has been being a part of this organization. We've seen a lot of challenges over the years, but cities have become so vibrant. They've become so livable. They've become amazing places of arts and culture because of all of you and because of this organization and the staff. And it's been a tremendous honor to play a small part in that. When people talk about where they're from, they don't talk about their particular state legislative district or if you will, congressional district. They talk about their cities, and so cities have become true places of livability. I wanted to just read this real quickly. This is something that's called the Athenian Oath, and it's something that has touched my life very greatly, and I'm going to just give you a brief story about it. But it says, "We will never bring disgrace on this, our city, by any act of dishonesty or cowardice. We will fight for the ideals and sacred things of the city, both alone and with many. We will revere and obey the city's laws, and we will do our best to incite a like reverence and respect in those about us who are prone to annul them or set them at naught. We will strive unceasingly to quicken the public's sense of civic duty. Thus, in all these ways, we will transmit this city greater, better, and more beautiful than it was transmitted to us." And one of the most poignant memories I've had over the years from the beautiful voice of the late Mayor Guido of Dearborn, Michigan, to the honor of meeting Mayor Couts and her family and her late husband, and what an amazing man he was in Oklahoma City. But this business card was given to me by our president, Mayor Nutter, in Philadelphia. As we were walking in Oklahoma City from the Oklahoma Thunderdome to I think it was a bar later that evening. Sorry about that. But I kept this card in my wallet because it's always meant, this oath has meant so much to me, and it's just an honor to be able to be here and accept this award from Mayor Nutter himself. And so I wish you all the very, very best. All of you have enriched my life greatly, and it will always be a memorable and fond memory for me as being part of the year's Conference of Mayors. We have some great candidates running to succeed me, and I trust they will be very active as well. But again, thank you all so much for your friendship and support, and the support of my community and my husband, Christopher Kreidel, who's right there in the audience as well. Thank you all very much.
Mike. Well, you got to have a plaque, right? This is a U.S. Conference of Mayors presented to Michael A. Again, Mayor of Redondo Beach, given in appreciation of your distinguished service to America's cities and the U.S. Conference of Mayors in January 2013. Tom's name is on it, my name is on it, but the most important name on this plaque is Michael Ginn. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Here's a box. Mayor Ginn, thank you very, very much, and I appreciate you acknowledging in public as the only person who's ever admitted to holding on to one of my cards. It really makes me feel good. Somebody's got one. We have an energy matter, and so you have on your tables a green postcard. Of course, it's green. Announcing the application deadline for the Mayor's Climate Protection Awards. Applications are due on Friday, April 12th. And all of you have many, many successful energy and climate initiatives, so we want you to share them with us and then apply for the 2013 Mayor's Climate Protection Awards. And you'll be hearing more and more about that. Our next speaker is Senator Dianne Feinstein, another former and recovering mayor. As San Francisco's mayor, she was very active in our conference and founded the Women's Mayors Caucus nearly 30 years ago. Senator Feinstein is here today to talk about, of course, gun safety, a cause that she has championed since her days in San Francisco's City Hall. As a former mayor, but as you hear me say from time to time, once a mayor, always a mayor, Senator Feinstein understands clearly and completely how detrimental gun violence is in our communities and has consistently stood up for public safety. Senator Feinstein was the original author of the 1994 assault weapons ban in the U.S. Senate, and it probably would not have been included in that year's crime bill if she hadn't worked so hard to make it happen. Unfortunately, as we all know, it lapsed in 2004. Next week, Senator Feinstein will introduce legislation to reinstate and strengthen the assault weapons ban. Passage of this legislation is absolutely critical if we are to get these dangerous guns off the streets of our respective cities as quickly as possible. This conference and I personally will be with her every step along the way. This is one of the top priorities for the U.S. Conference of Mayors. So please join in welcoming our very good friend, our always champion, continues to be a strong supporter of this conference and a person who literally picks up the phone herself when she wants to get in touch and make a call. Ladies and gentlemen, please recognize and welcome Senator Dianne Feinstein.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, thank you so much. As I was walking in, I recognized some people, and I realized how fine it was to come home again. John Lazar, mayor in the Central Valley, the wonderful Beverly O'Neill, formerly mayor of Long Beach. I walked up and saw Tom Cochran. When I left him, he didn't have a gray hair in his head. And when I first came to the Conference of Mayors in January of 1979, Joe Riley was here. And he didn't have a gray hair in his head. And guess what? They are both still here. So I want to salute you both. I want to say how wonderful it is to be back. And I want to thank you. And to Mike Nutter, who has become partner in this effort. I've had the privilege of meeting with him twice now on the subject of assault weapons. I want to say how valued your leadership is to us and how much I want to encourage you to continue to press on, because I've fought a lot of battles in my lifetime, ladies and gentlemen. I became mayor as a product of assassination. Mayor George Moscone was a member of this organization. He was assassinated along with Supervisor Harvey Milk, and it left a city, the bricks of which had to be put together again, and that fell to me. It was a difficult time. Homelessness and AIDS were both discovered, and the Conference of Mayors took leadership in both of those issues. I remember the day when a mayor wouldn't sit down and discuss AIDS. I remember a day when there were less than 4 or 5 women in this organization. All that has changed, and I am so pleased to see this partnership with Phillips and Duke. I think that's exactly the way to go, and I really want to commend your leadership for working in this direction. My time is limited, so let me try to get down to some of the things that I want to say. Guns have been a big part of my life since I became mayor. Now, that's a long time ago. And I've watched what's happened in the United States. I never thought we would see a situation where someone would walk in with a military-style assault weapons, and it is, into an elementary school and shoot 6 principals, psychologists, teachers, as well as 20 6- and 7-year-olds, and put anywhere from 3 to 11 bullets from a high-velocity weapon into their small and beautiful bodies. Never thought it would happen in this country, no matter what. I really think this has been a sea change. I really think it's a watershed moment for America. I really believe it takes us back to our roots as a country and what we hold dear. The gun organizations have made it virtually impossible to make progress in this arena. The President of the United States and the Vice President of the United States have just taken on what is a courageous and most difficult task. They have put forward a litany of common sense recommendations. I think it will be unrelenting, and they must have company, because I can tell you the gun organizations will do whatever they can do to prevent regulation of firearms in this country, and that is really too bad. Mother Jones Magazine recently compiled some research on mass shootings in our country. Here's what they found. Since 1982, there have been at least 62 mass shootings across the country, with the killings occurring in 30 states, from Massachusetts to Hawaii. 25 of these mass shootings have occurred since 2006, and 7 took place in 2012. Of the 142 guns possessed by these killers, more than 3/4 were obtained legally. This deadly arsenal included dozens of assault weapons and semi-automatic handguns. Now, the killers. Half of these massacres involved school or workplace shootings, 12 and 19 respectively. In the other 31 cases, they occurred in shopping malls, restaurants, religious or government buildings, and now we've added movie theaters to that list. According to this research, 44 of the killers were white males, 1 was a woman. The average age of the killers was 35. The youngest was just 11 years old. A majority were mentally ill, and many displayed signs of mental illness before setting out to kill. These massacres are seared into our collective consciousness. I'll bet you can remember where you were when you heard about Jonesboro, Columbine, Virginia Tech, Aurora, and now Sandy Hook. In my own city of San Francisco, right after I was first elected to the Senate, I happened to be home when a man by the name of John Luigi Ferri went into a pristine, architecturally well-designed house, high-rise called 101 California, went into a law office with an arsenal and just began to mow down people. Many of you may remember 1966 was kind of the first time we saw these kinds of massacres. It was the Texas Bell Tower, where a sniper killed 14 and wounded 32. I made special note of it, and I thought, oh, this is really an aberration. This isn't going to happen again. But it has, and it has, and it has. So when I came here, I became determined to try to do something about it. And as an amendment to the crime bill, of which Joe Biden was the author, introduced an amendment on the floor. There was no cloture, there was no filibuster, because at the time, members of the United States Senate felt this is a big issue. We should stand up like adults. We should discuss it. And we're the ones that should set this kind of public policy. Well, it was passed on a motion to table which failed. It went to the House, where it also passed unamended. The Clinton administration became very involved, lobbied, and fought for it, and ended up signing it. And so for 10 years, it was, in fact, the law of the land. In a moment, I'll tell you what I think it did. Nearly 9,000 people have lost their lives to guns last year. In the 20 years I've been here, that is tens and tens and tens of thousands of people. It's 23 people killed each day with guns. Between 2007 and 11, 46,213 people were murdered with guns in the United States. Now look around us. Look up at our neighbor, Canada. The rate of homicide by firearm per 100,000 in the United States is 6 times the rate in Canada. It is 15 times the rate in Germany, and it is 30 times the rate in the United Kingdom. Since the 1994 assault weapons ban expired, there have been at least 458 incidents with assault weapons, 357 deaths from assault weapons, and 455 injuries from assault weapons. Between 2005 and 2007, 1 in 4 law enforcement officers slain in the line of duty was killed with an assault weapon. The source is the Violence Policy Center. Now, each death is such a human tragedy. Cumulatively, these numbers are a public health and safety issue, and they demand action. I do believe that Sandy Hook and this relentless plague of violence has fundamentally altered the debate over reasonable, and I use the word reasonable, gun regulation. In my observation, people are having second thoughts on the gun debate for the first time in years. People, including many gun owners, are asking themselves, is this the way it has to be in America? To answer my own question, I don't believe it has to be. So we are going to try to do what we did in 1994, only do it better, and do it in a way that no one loses a weapon that they own today, but in a way that will prohibit the sale, the transfer, the manufacture, and the importation of assault weapons. Incidentally, the '94 plan was not perfect. We learned a lot, and we have made changes since then. I have a number of Department of Justice statistics about the bill and what it accomplished, but let me use just a few. This is according to a study at the University of Pennsylvania. And, you know, the NRA will take on every one of these, and they will put their own numbers forward. But I truly believe that the use of assault weapons in crimes declined, and this study shows by 2/3 for the 9 years after which the ban took place. A Department of Justice study showed that assault weapons were responsible for a 6.7% decrease in total gun murders, holding all other factors equal. The percentage of firearms seized by police in Virginia that had high-capacity magazines dropped significantly during the ban. That figure has doubled since the ban expired. States that ban assault weapons have fewer firearms deaths. That's a study published in The Atlantic. 37% of police departments reported seeing a noticeable increase in criminals' use of assault weapons since the ban expires. That's the Police Executive Research Forum. And 38% reported noticeable increases in criminals' use of semi-automatic weapons with high-capacity magazines. So, as Mike Nutter said, next week we will try again. And the circumstances are the most difficult that I have ever seen in my lifetime as a United States Senator for 20 years or a local official for another 20 years. Here's what we will try to do. We will prohibit the sale, the transfer, the manufacture, and the importation of assault weapons and high-capacity ammunition feeding devices that can accept more than 10 bullets. It will be stronger than the bill we passed in '94. Let me briefly describe it. Approximately 150 specifically named military-style firearms, and by that I mean when the firearms was primarily designed to kill large numbers of people in close combat. Certain other semi-automatic rifles, handguns, and shotguns that can accept a detachable magazine and have one military characteristic. Semi-automatic rifles and handguns with a fixed magazine that can accept more than 10 rounds. Semi-automatic rifles that are shorter than 30 inches in length. We will strengthen the '94 ban by moving from a 2-characteristic test to a 1-characteristic test. What I found is that the manufacturers immediately begin to redesign weapons to get around the characteristics. We will ban firearms with thumbhole stocks and bullet buttons to address attempts to work around these prior bans. We will add a ban on importation of assault weapons and large-capacity magazines. We will ban large-capacity ammunition feeding devices capable of accepting more than 10 bullets. We will protect legitimate hunters and the rights of existing gun owners by grandfathering weapons legally possessed on the date of enactment, protecting over 900 specifically named weapons used for hunting or sporting weapons. Every one of them is by name in the bill, so that if anybody says they're taking away my weapon, you say, what is your weapon? You pull out the bill and you can show them where it is specifically exempted. We will impose a safe storage requirement for grandfathered firearms, and we will ban the transfer of large-capacity magazines that are grandfathered under the bill. We will encourage, now the NRA will tell you I'm making mandatory a buyback program. No, we do not. What we do is make available grant funds, existing grant funds, for a voluntary buyback for grandfathered assault weapons and large-capacity ammunition feeding devices by allowing jurisdictions to use existing federal grant money. Well, let me just make a few comments. I received a letter from this distinguished organization dated December 14th. And as part of it, print is small, it is an open letter to the President, members of the United States House of Representatives, and the United States Senate. And it says, "We urge you to take immediate action. The President to exercise his powers through executive order and Congress." He has clearly listened. "To introduce and pass legislation to make reasonable changes in our gun laws and regulations. Specifically, we call on you to enact legislation to ban assault weapons and other high-capacity magazines being prepared by myself and others, strengthen the national background check system and eliminate loopholes in it." The President is proposing to do that, and strengthen the penalties for straw purchases of guns. I thank you for this. It is signed by Mayor Nutter of Philadelphia, Mayor Bloomberg of New York, Mayor Villaraigosa of Los Angeles, Mayor Emanuel of Chicago, Mayor Johnson of Sacramento, Mayor Riley sitting at this head table, Mayor Menino of Boston, Don Plusquellic, Mayor of Akron, and Tom Cochran, the CEO and Executive Director of this institution. On Thursday, we will have a press conference with some of the Senate authors, some of the House authors. Mayor Nutter will be with us, the head of the chiefs of police, the many police chiefs, heads of sheriff organizations, religious groups, and some victims. And we will introduce this bill. It will remain a work in progress. It will go through regular order, which my first bill did not. That means it will go to the Judiciary Committee. There will be hearings. We will have an opportunity to amend it or change it. Hopefully, it will be voted out of the committee and it will come to the floor. Let me tell you one thing about me. I do not quit. I am a former mayor on a mission, and I intend to continue to press this fight. And hopefully, all of you mayors in this room will join me. It is important, and I believe the safety to a great sense of all of our cities depends on it. Thank you very much, and it's great to be here. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Martha. Oh, you're welcome. Hope that was okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
One more big round of applause for Senator Dianne Feinstein. Thank you, Senator, so much. As president of the conference, one of my top priorities has been to strengthen our partnerships with other advocacy organizations. And at the top of that particular list is our ongoing partnership with the National League of Cities. We've been working very closely with NLC, along with the National Association of Counties, on priorities such as resolving, of course, the fiscal cliff, protecting tax-exempt financing, and creating jobs. Prior to becoming mayor of the city of Philadelphia, I was 14 and a half years of service in Philadelphia City Council. And during that time, I was a pretty active member of NLC. And so I'm very, very pleased that we have the president of NLC here with us this morning. in that she is a neighbor of our Vice President. Let us welcome Mayor Smith to come up and make the formal introduction. Mayor Smith.
Thank you, Mayor Nutter. Thank you. Sorry, Mayor. Before I go, I have a point of personal privilege. I have two introductions to make, actually, this morning. The first one is, you can't see it, at 3:30 this morning, Decker Andreessen, my fourth grandchild and first child of my daughter, was born, unfortunately, a week early. But I was more than happy to be awakened this morning to get that great news. Mother and son are doing great, thank you. I also have the great privilege of introducing a fellow mayor of mine from Arizona. Now, it's just happen chance and I guess a twist of fate that Mayor Marie Lopez Rogers and I served together. Mayor Lopez Rogers is the mayor of Avondale, Arizona. And in the Phoenix metro area, we have an interesting dynamic, geographical dynamic. We have Phoenix, the behemoth central city, which is really in the center. And then we have a cluster of cities to the west of Phoenix called the West Valley. We get really creative in Phoenix. And a cluster of cities to the east of Phoenix called the East Valley. Mesa happens to lie in the East Valley, and Avondale lies in the West Valley. And Mayor Lopez Rogers has a wonderful history of service and a great family history, one which was highlighted by President Obama. But she also is a great servant. And as you can imagine, your metro areas, the East and the West, sometimes both gang up to fight Phoenix, but we also fight this. But in a spirit of regionalism, we also work together. It just so happens that not only will our terms overlap, as her as president of NLC and me as president of the U.S. Conference of Mayors, but she currently serves as the president or the chair of the Maricopa Association of Government. I serve as the vice chair. That wasn't planned, it just happened that way. And in those roles, I have gotten to know this fine mayor, and I am more than privileged and honored to welcome the president of the National League of Cities, Mayor Marie Lopez Rogers.
Buenos dias. Thank you, thank you. I bring greetings from the National League of Cities. Thank you, Mayor Smith, so much for the kind words. U.S. Conference of Mayors, get ready for what lies ahead of you. You're so lucky to have Mayor Smith serving this organization. In Arizona, Mayor Smith has a reputation of getting it done. There's no doubt in my mind that he'll get things done at the U.S. Conference of Mayors. Mayor Nutter, thank you. Thank you for the dedicated leadership, for actively including National League of Cities. This has been very special for us during your conference. I appreciate that very much. I'd like to, at this time, we have some great leadership at National League of Cities, so I'd like to take a moment to recognize our first Vice President who is with you, Chris Coleman from St. Paul, Minnesota. And NLC Second Vice President Ralph Becker from Salt Lake City, back in the back. I also want to recognize a former mayor, recovering mayor, is that Clarence Anthony, who is attending his first USCM conference as NLC's new executive director. Clarence. As mayors, we've faced conflict every day. You've heard it here today, but we work together to find compromises and solutions. Congress must work to do the same. It's my hope that we as mayors are able to persuade members on the Capitol Hill to work together. And they must find a way to get their work done without putting it on the backs of cities. The National League of Cities and the U.S. Conference of Mayors both believe that we share a common set of concerns and values. We hold a deep commitment in the policy arena on a number of key issues affecting our cities and our towns. USCM and NLC are working together on the leadership and staff levels to stop Congress and the administration from punishing cities with bad policy and divisive commentary. Congress forgets that these federal investments they want to cut actually drive the growth in our cities. They build our infrastructure, and they create jobs. They are not wasteful spending. It is clear to me by attending your meetings in the past few days, we have many issues in common. And NLC is positioned to work in collaboration with USCM to create a synergy to move our issues forward together. Again, I thank you for having me here today, and thank you for the great partnership. We look forward to doing great things together this year, and I hope to see you at our conference in March here in DC. Thank you very, very much.
Just keep track of this guy. I'll do that. Okay. One more time, let's thank Mayor Lopez Rogers, please. And so with that, our plenary session is adjourned. There are various committee meetings. Please refer, of course, to your booklets. And thank you so much for the morning. I'll see you very, very soon for lunch. Take care.